Hi Siri, I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
You just couldn't get enough of us, could you, baby? Seth Harp, Harp on Sports. JC, the man of many hats, with you here on this Wednesday, 27th day of December 2023. I know for a fact this is my last show of the year because I'm going to be traveling the next few days here. Shane out. He'll be back. Don't worry. Shane's going to be back to talk about the college football playoff, give you his analysis on all of those things. JC and I have some housekeeping to take care of, at least before I bid adieu for the year. A quick reminder to everyone, Mike DiRocco of ESPN covering the Jaguars will join us for the second half of the program. And PodUp with Matthews in the morning is a service of what? Crime Prevention Security System, because this is their studio, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. You've got questions, you've got comments, fire away courtesy of Facebook. Facebook Live questions brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, official injury and accident law firm partner, I should say. YouTube, fire away via YouTube as well, courtesy of Quality Plumbing. Residential and commercial plumbing services and emergency repair since 1984. Their name says it all. And of course, JC and myself joining you courtesy of Titan MRI, the Titan MRI hotline. And fire away there as well. 352-353-7465. That's 352-353-7465. JC, Gators not playing again. So here we go as we start to more content and more interesting things to think about. We do know this, though. We have another Florida Gator that has decided that the waters are just warmer in Missouri. So we have another Gator transferring to Missouri.
Waters are warmer.
Yeah, John, we were promised the QB today. Guys, he's a little banged up. He'll be back tomorrow. Not banged up. His flight delayed. He will be he'll be back in here tomorrow. He just had some
traveling is just a freaking nightmare.
Oh my God.
Now, I mean, I drove on Christmas Day down I-10 or through I-10, and there were still more people on the road this past Christmas than I've seen in the past. I'm not sure really what's going on, why everybody's got the itch to move around, but they do. I saw a lot of traffic, man, on I-10. I-10 is typically not busy between Pensacola and Marietta, and my God, it was hopping on Christmas Day, and plenty of places were open for business, man. So, I mean, not everybody celebrates Christmas holiday.
It took me 4 hours to go from Gainesville to Tampa on Friday.
Yeah,
so
yeah, brutal.
Yeah. Okay, let's start off with this, shall we?
Okay.
Different people have commented. Why don't we ask more questions that are posed on there? And it's, we get a lot of comments. So I'll try to be a man of the JC. I'm a man of the people. I give the people what they want. I'm a Gator homer through and through. I know it's on there yesterday that I'm a Nebraska man and I'm a Michigan man. I've lived in Florida longer than those places, in Alabama, Georgia. I'm a Florida man. So this is near and dear to my heart, JC.
Let's hear it.
Somebody and I apologize. Because I didn't pull the exact name up. Somebody on Facebook and on social media yesterday said that in the future, a year from today, I'm adding this part to it. The college football playoff will have expanded and we'll have our first round of games right about a year from today.
Yes. Very happy about that.
Should northern teams not be allowed to host first round matchups, JC, because it's too cold?
No, I think if their record gives them the right to have a game on their campus just because it's located in Pennsylvania, it's too bad. That's called home field advantage. So I say, hell no. You let those teams play them. Look, if you have to play in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in September, if you have to play a football game there, which many teams don't have to play, but there are games in Baton Rouge in September and in the SEC, you gotta be right about it. I think if a team wins 10 games, whatever, gets to host a playoff game as a 6 seed, a 5 seed, or a 6 seed, Heck yeah, man. You got to. That's what part of the home field should be. I think there has to be an advantage. That's why I've been screaming for the top 4 seeds to have a home game. But there's been no conversation about that at all. They'd rather send the fan bases to 3 neutral sites. I don't think that's going to be practical, nor will it work. And after the first year, people will go, oh, why did we do it this way? So anyhow, I think, yes, you should allow a team in Madison, Wisconsin, or Penn State or Ohio State. You're going to tell me the Ohio State Buckeyes, if they're a 5 seed, shouldn't be able to play at home if the rules say that they get a home game? Absolutely let them play at home.
But JC, what about the unfair advantage it is to somebody like me who likes it warm, and now I've got to play in the cold? That's
well, you got to get yourself that cool Florida Gator orange and blue hoodie and jacket and warmers, dude. Listen, that's football, man. That's an outdoor game. Many places like up in the in the FCS, Seth, the North Dakota State.
The snow.
A lot of teams play indoors. Idaho plays indoors. North Dakota State plays indoors. There's another one that plays indoors. South Dakota plays indoors. They sure do, Seth. But no, I think you got to let them go. Let them play outside. So I think the playoffs are going to be spectacular. I think it's going to be so much fun watching that. Now, last night, Seth, those bowl games, even though they were a bunch of teams that we don't usually watch, man, those kids laid it out there. That UNLV Kansas game last night. Did you see Kansas had over 200 yards of penalties? Dear God. I mean, Lance Leipold was losing his mind on the sideline. He couldn't understand. He was going crazy. They had so many penalties, and they still ended up winning the game by double digits. Kansas over Vegas.
It's
crazy. It was fun to watch, man. It was crazy. And then that Texas State team, who the hell are they? Those guys are going up and down the field with your old guy, TJ Finley there. From Auburn and LSU, Texas State going up and down the field. Did you see how excited the fans were last night in Dallas watching their Bobcats from San Marcos beat up on poor old Rice? My goodness, it was great. So those games were important to those people. I actually liked watching them because what the hell else there was to do yesterday? Even
the quick lane ball. If you enjoy, everybody talks about how they. JC, people say the thing that makes college football special is that they play for love of the game. They play for love of the game. Well, at the level of the teams that you saw yesterday, those guys do. Those aren't the big business programs. So if you play, that's why Army, Navy, play for love of the game. If you are that person, then you should love those things. And you got that yesterday. And it's funny because we carried the Guaranteed Rate Bowl on the radio last night, and I was listening to it, and then I'd watch it. I was going back and forth, checking things out. And when Kansas's quarterback had like 440 yards
he had 6 touchdown passes, Jason Bean, and he got to play this year because Jalen Daniels quit or had a back injury. How about our guy on YouTube, J&J Trucking? I love this guy. He goes, where is Shane? It's like waking up next to a girl you brought home after way too many drinks. J&J, you want to tell us more about that, dude? I can't relate to that one. Too many drinks. What's J&J's wrong here? Come on, J&J.
You can tell JJ there's not enough Jack Daniels in the world, JC. There's not enough Jack Daniels in the world, Buttercup. No way.
Johnny C says, Johnny C on YouTube, do you guys think that the Florida Gator program is worse off than when Billy took over? So they're worse now than when Billy took over. Is that what you think, Seth?
No. I mean,
no. Okay.
No, they're not. I mean, look, really? that team had fallen apart. They weren't even competitive. And I guess you look at the records. This is a team that's had winning records. It's blown it late in the year. And that Dan Mullen team just fell apart and got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So this team has flashed. That team that year really didn't flash any at the end. No, Dan Mullen had more success, right? Went to 3 major bowl games, won 2 of them, lost the third, and then the wheels came off. But not by a lot. This is not like, they're extremely more successful. They're a little more successful, just a little bit. Before we get moving on here, JC, last night, Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Do you know what that game used to be called?
The Guaranteed Rate Bowl. No. Go ahead.
The old Copper Bowl.
Copper Bowl. Okay.
So it got me thinking. The Holiday Bowl. We're going to have fun today, gang. The Holiday Bowl has announced, you know how the Mayo Bowl, they pour mayonnaise on people now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
Holiday Bowl is trying holiday cheer, holiday. They're going to pour a bucket of eggnog on the winning coach.
God,
Holiday.
that's messy. That's going to be sticky and messy. Yeah.
So
yeah.
It got me thinking, JC, of some of the bowl games coming up, the wasted opportunities that we've had of dumping liquid on coaches this year. You ready for this?
Okay.
The Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl occurred last week. JC, we missed the opportunity to pour coffee on a coach. So the Scooters Frisco Coffee Bowl, I'm giving you bowl games that have some sort of liquid element to them. All right. Yesterday, JC, we missed the opportunity in the Quick Lane Bowl to pour motor oil on PJ Fleck. But don't worry. Don't worry. We have the Valero Alamo Bowl coming up this evening.
Oh, yeah. Valero.
So what do you think? Octane 97 on the winning coach?
I don't know, man. I don't know if he's going to want to smell like a gas station for the next 3 months. I'm not sure about that one, Seth, but I do feel good about today's lineup. That's what this week is about, dude. You've got, New Year's and Christmas. I talked about it yesterday. This week is one of my favorite weeks of the year. Maybe is my favorite week of the year. And you get all these games. Today's lineup is great. Now, yesterday did not disappoint. You looked at the lineup, you go, that sucks. Those games were fun to watch. These games today, I hope, will be the same. But there's more today. We got a lot more action today on the slate. A lot of teams, though, without guys playing that would normally be playing. A lot of guys missing on these games. Drake May will not play for North Carolina. And Caleb Williams will not play for South California. And, I call him that. And so there's a lot of guys missing from the rosters today because they're getting ready for the draft, basically. So, but these other kids will come in and play hard. It should be worth watching, I would hope. Yeah.
Andy brought it up. The Orange Bowl, JC, can pour orange juice on people.
Yeah, orange juice. That game. I just hate the way that game is.
Brock Bowers is out now.
Evel. Yeah, it's a skeletal game. I mean, these teams are skeletons of their former selves now that are playing in that game. It's kind of a shame, actually. But Georgia is still something like a 17-point favorite in that game, even without these players. I think Ladd McConkey will play. Obviously, you'll have the quarterback for Georgia will play. He's been excellent this year, but he's going to have guys that are not typically in the lineup. He'll have missing. Bowers. Bowers, I don't think he was 100% anyway in that SEC game. In fact, I'm pretty sure of it.
No, he wasn't. PodUp with Matthews in the Morning is brought to you in part by Dovetail Home Improvement, your local roofing, siding, and window contractor, serving Gainesville and the surrounding area since 1986. Also, Radware, family-owned local business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. When Bowers bows out, and I know we got some comments. Again, I'm pulling comments from what you guys have said the last few days in here. You should force the players to play in the bowl games and make it part of their NIL. I'll still bail because sue me, go for it. And it's funny, JC, how come we're always upset? It's fascinating revisionist history over the years. And there was never talk of making coaches that left coach in bowl games, but now we want to make all the players.
That just won't happen. You can't make anybody play a football game. That's silly. That's not going to happen. But I think it's a missed opportunity. Again, I'm just bringing it up last year. I know people may be tired of me saying this and giving me the finger right now, but the reality is Will Anderson and Bryce Young did not have to play last year in that Sugar Bowl, knowing that they were going to be a top 5 draft pick. They knew it. And they still went out there and performed for Saban and the fan base in the school and blew out K-State. So that's that. You're just built one way or you're built the other. And I understand that there is a risk, huge risk, to playing in a game when there's money coming to you. So, but those guys didn't seem to let it affect them, and they played hard and won the game. And now they're having great NFL. They made big money in the NFL so far. So.
Jim says, hold their NL dollars, they'll play, and I'll know they won't. If you're Caleb Williams and you've got $50 million waiting for you in the NFL, I mean, whatever your NIL is,
no, it's true. It's true. But I mean, Bryce Young knew he's going to be a top 3 pick last year, and there he was in the Sugar Bowl. Same with Will Anderson.
And guys, you can't, and this is somebody that's run things for a while now. You can't force people to do things. Okay. If somebody doesn't want to do things, then they're gone. I keep money from them. You can't. Your concept going into negotiation can't be, I'm going to screw this person over. It just can't work. It won't work that way. You mentioned a couple of other people, JC, that left or that decided to come back and play that improved their stock. You mentioned the guys from Alabama, Kenny Pickett from Pitt a couple years ago, played in the bowl game, and Bo Nix is playing this year. So,
Bo Nix is playing, and he wants to play. He wants to play. Some of these guys use this as another audition to improve their position, knowing where they're going to be, because everybody's in their ear right now, Seth. They're all talking. These agents are all about, this and that, trying to get, positioned for this draft. And, another audition won't hurt. Remember those old great All-Star games, the Blue Grit, what was it? These senior games that they played in Mobile, Alabama, and all those games that they were like auditions. And maybe these bowl games are different. That's a bad analogy, but some guys look at it as another opportunity to improve their positioning.
Yeah, and it's a violent sport. It
is.
I try to think of the guy from Notre Dame that got drafted by the Cowboys about 8 or 9 years ago that busted up his leg and basically cut his career short.
I got one. Yeah, he did. I mean that happens, but they do have insurance. Not that that's a replacement for it, but it is there. And I don't know who's paying for that or how that gets done. Those logistics are confusing. It's a business decision, Seth. We all know it. Aaron says or wants to ask Seth, can we address how slow Billy Napier is on everything? Portal, coaching hires, everything. Now, that's assuming that Aaron, that exactly what he's doing and what he isn't doing right now. But I'm not sure you do know that, because, you probably don't have an air tag on his wallet to see where he is. He could be out there busting his behind on the recruiting trail for the next signing period. I don't really know what the answer to that is.
I can tell you this, and it's been this way for a while now, and I don't know why the reality is not sitting in. It's actually a very good question. Whoever wrote that tip of the hat, man, that's a very good question. It's true.
Aaron did. That's Aaron on YouTube. It's
a very good question. JC, he's doing a Mike Norvell rebuild, not a Kirby Smart, Nick Saban rebuild. It's a different type of rebuild. Okay. Your digs there, you got a pretty sweet, pad, right? You didn't have to rip the foundation out and redo the roof and everything. That's what Billy's doing. Billy's not just coming in.
I wish I had in some things. I tell you, yes. No, your point is made. It's true. But fans are looking at 3 straight seasons with 3 straight losing seasons. And you bring this guy in, you pay him a lot of money, you've got higher expectations than 5 and 7, 6 and 7. So I understand the frustration is there. Listen, he's got another year. Okay. He's got more players coming that are his guys, and there won't be any excuses regardless of the schedule. If results aren't there. It's a results-driven business, and I sympathize or empathize, I should say, with these fans. I get it. Next year is going to be damn tough. Now, you make the point that the beginning part of the schedule is very doable, very doable. I'm not as sure as you seem to be, but at least you do make that point, because the latter part of the schedule, now granted, there's injuries that take place and teams do change as the year goes by. We've seen this. But the last part of that schedule is just not fair. It's just ridiculous. So It's going to be tough. They better let's just put it this way, like you said correctly, they better get out to a fast start, or it's going to go down fast.
JC, you mean the schedule that I said next year that they're going to be favored in 5 games, and last week I got criticized for being anti-Gator because I said
yes, you are not positive, Seth. Go back to Nebraska.
Go back to Nebraska, where you lived for 1 year, 15 years ago. PodUp with Matthews in the morning is the service of Silverback Concrete. Silverback Concrete, family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. Okay, what else do we have here? Oh, babe, this is awesome stuff. Okay. Tim says Seth needs a new neon Gator sign. Why don't you buy me one, Tim? I'll be more than happy to stick it right back there if you buy me one. I've got neon stuff all over the place. It just, yeah.
I love it. I love all that stuff back there, dude. Is that the Chiefs there? You got an Alabama thing in a frame?
Everywhere that I've worked in media,
I like that.
Cool stuff. I've got my Western Michigan, where I went to school. I've got you'll like this, JC. Look,
Broncos.
This is my
Snoop on the stoop.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's got one of those apparently now. I saw a couple of those. Yeah.
I got this. For all my big fans. I'll make sure that every one of you, if you want to send,
if you go on the Mannycast, they can put that up there on the prediction panel. For the playoffs, get Seth Harp up there on the Mannycast and get the prediction done.
We want. If I do that, there'll be no more competition in media, JC. Just the ratings will be through the roof. I want to ask you a couple things here because I know you're the first half and Mike DiRocco of ESPN's on the second half. I'm going to talk about the Jaguars and the NFL. I wanted to ask you a couple questions. I did this on my podcast, so I'll ask you, JC, the sports stories of the year in the state of Florida and the sports stories of the year nationally, wherever you would like to start. What say you, the sports story of the year?
Damn. I should have thought about this harder because you did mention it before the show.
I can start off with mine if you want.
You go ahead.
Okay, sports stories of the year in the state of Florida. I was kicking around I had a couple ideas. The first of which was that all three teams in the NFL are likely to make the playoffs. You don't see that too often. The Miami Marlins making the postseason in baseball for the first time in what seems to be like a millennium. Forget about it. But I don't know how much of on the whole scale of things. The Magic are having a nice year. But you start to combine the end of last year, NFL postseason run, and then this year, so things kind of get lost in the shuffle.
How about the Jags winning a home playoff game? That hadn't happened. That hadn't happened. And coming back down 27-0 to the Chargers, and then winning a home playoff game. That had the Duvals really moving it, the needle. Early part of this year, yeah.
But no matter how I cut it, look at it, to me, the sports story of the year in the state, because it's been talked about for the last 20 days.
Yeah, it's Florida
State getting left out of the college football playoff. To me, that's the sports story of the year in the state of Florida.
It's true. I can't argue with it. We'll see what the Buccaneers are going to do with Baker. The question here from Johnny C. Again, another Johnny C. I'm sorry, J&J, my man J&J. I like him. What would the Browns be if they kept Baker and not gave the world for Watson? Great question. I mean, they've been through 4 quarterbacks now. This is their 4th guy they're on with Joe Flacco. And Baker just didn't – I don't know why it didn't work for him because it's working in Tampa. And that's a great question. I think the Browns would be okay. I think they'd be better probably. But Watson was the guy they went all in on. J&J Trucking or J&L Trucking, whoever owns that franchise gave Watson everything. Lake Erie. And he's just been non-dependable.
Isn't it amazing, JC, where we started the year about Kyle Trask and Baker?
Kyle Trask.
And, and look, station, WRUF, ESPN Games, I get voicemails all the time. You shouldn't carry the Bucks. What they did to Kyle Trask's team.
Oh, no. I disagree. Yeah. Bucks fans are everywhere up here, man. They're all over. There's more Buck fans than Jag fans, I think.
And, JC, they play the Saints this weekend.
Yeah, they win the division, man. They're going to win the division. They're going to have a home playoff game against either these guys or the Rams, the Cowboys, probably the Cowboys. Who's not going to be interested in that in the Tampa Bay area?
Well, it's interesting because I think I brought this up earlier. Maybe I didn't on this episode or on this podcast. That with the win over the Saints, I think Baker Mayfield. I think he already is NFL Comeback Player of the Year. But JC, if they beat the Saints this weekend, they've won the division.
Yeah.
They can't move up. They're the 4th seed no matter what, which means they get to rest everybody.
Yes, next week. Yeah.
And then they'll host the Cowboys or the Rams. So I look at this. I think all of a sudden, whoever is going to go to 10-7 Tampa, who's won 6 in a row, that's going to be a little bit tougher than people think.
It's a tall order, and it's not going to be easy the way they're playing right now offensively. I would have not said this a month ago, but Baker's turned it on with those receivers in the running back. And so I'm excited for the Bucs. I think they're exciting again. And it's good to see because I think Tampa is they love the Buccaneers. They love them down there. So, and they travel fairly well when the team travels. So I don't know. I think it was last year's story was the Jags. This year's could be Tampa Bay for our NFL. And then the Dolphins. I mean, how can I not even talk about the Dolphins? The Dolphins are the number 2 seed. If they beat the Ravens this weekend somehow and then win again against Buffalo, they could easily be maybe the 1 seed. In fact, they would be the 1 seed. So that means they'd have a week off, the Miami Dolphins, who you can watch on that Hard Knocks on HBO in season with the Miami Dolphins. So you can watch it on HBO Max. I think I get every stinking channel because my bill is hundreds of dollars. So I just turn it on. There it is. But I don't know if that's smart economically, but I get to see it anyway, Seth. And I've been enjoying the Dolphins in season on Hard Knocks. It's kind of fun to watch.
A couple things here before we really wrap up at least the first half of this thing. JC, the ultimate Super Bowl, the lovable loser Super Bowl is still intact. Both the Browns and the Lions. We could have a Browns-Lions Super Bowl.
Who would love that?
Yeah. I mean, that would be the most.
Yeah.
You feel bad for whoever would lose it. You could also have a Bills-Lions Super Bowl, but I mean the.
Yeah. Oh,
but there are four teams.
The Bills and Lions. Yes.
4 teams have never been to a Super Bowl, right? I think there are 4, and the Lions and Browns are 2 of them. The other ones are the Texans and the Jaguars, right?
That's correct. Yes, neither of those have. And those are relatively newer teams. But yes, I think it's exciting, the NFL. Man, the NFL is going to be great. The playoffs are going to be fantastic.
Yes.
We've got so much to look forward to next year with the college football playoffs and so forth. And we got these 4, let's just remember these semifinal games in college, which one of them I will attend next here in a few days in Pasadena. These are going to be great. I really think we're going to finally see some really good semifinal college football playoff games. I'm going to hammer this with Shane on Friday before I leave. That these are going to be really fun to watch, I think, because a lot of them have been duds. Seth.
Yeah, I tell you, Vegas knows something. Michigan, a 2-point favorite against Alabama.
You like Michigan? I've seen you. I heard you.
I do. I like Michigan. I like Michigan because defensively, and Alabama's been too up and down. And I think with a month to get ready, Jim Harbaugh, they've got this chip on their shoulder. I think they'll win it. So there we go. By the way, this came out too. The NFL record-breaking Christmas Day ratings across the board. Even though the Chiefs game was terrible, but the ratings are through the roof. JC, so much for that boycott of the NFL. People are never going to watch it get done with it. Yeah.
And then don't listen. And don't listen to these people talking about how bad college football's gotten, or it's in trouble. It ain't in trouble, folks. The numbers are so good. The amount of people that watched Ohio State, Michigan, the amount of people that watched Alabama, Georgia. And it would be just as good with these other teams if they ever get there to play. College football has taken off, and I'm surprised that folks are actually worried about it. But you and I seem to be on the same plane there with the football. It's off the charts good. And now with gambling in 26 states in the country, and it's only going to get bigger and better. It's exploded, and ESPN knows this. That's why they're going to pay the SEC all this money in the Big Ten as well, and that's why Florida State's stuck. They can't get out of this losing conference they're in, and they don't know what to do about it. And if they can make noise, they can raise hell. Doesn't matter. They're stuck.
Karen writes, "Happy New Year to all. Happy New Year to you, Karen. I know JC is going to be around through the rest of the week here.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back on Friday before the trip, Seth. But it's been a real fun time with you this week, and I'm glad that we were able to get this done while Shane was traveling. And
since you guys are also enthralled with me, JC's going to have his list of the 14 best attractive, ranking the SEC fan bases by attractiveness. Gator fans. JC apparently had you 13 Gator fans.
So I did not say that. Oh my God, Seth. I do want to leave you this. One of the most unattractive people in sports, Greg Popovich, is now 4-25 for the Spurs. And somehow they're lying to me by saying 18,000 fans went to the game to watch them lose to Utah last night. That's another lie. And the Pistons have set a single season record for futility with 27 losses in a row. That is the longest ever, which passes the 2013-14 Sixers and the 2010-2011 Cavaliers. Little research for you there, as they lose to the Brooklyn Nets by 6 last night. So Detroit has now lost 27 straight games in the NBA. And my team, the Celtics, are going to win it all this year. So just not lock that up, Seth.
And the Pistons play the Celtics here in 2 nights, and I'm going to watch that game.
I mean, regardless of what happens,
like
Celtics, what Boston did in Los Angeles, here we are in the NBA segment. Boston, what they did to LA, both the Clippers and the Lakers, is tells me all I need to know. They got Holiday, they got the other guys, they're going to win it. Boston for the NBA championship.
JC, Happy New Year. I know you'll be back on Friday. Good talking to you. Mike DiRocco of ESPN going to join us next. We're going to look at the Jaguars' woes and give you a little season primer. Thanks, JC. Mike DiRocco, ESPN, coming up next right here on PodUp with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
PodUp with Matthews in the morning, moving along with you here on this Wednesday, 27th day of December 2023. PodUp with Matthews in the morning, coming to you live from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. You want to be a part of the show? Meldon Law, Facebook Live. Fire off your questions. The only official injury and accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Also, YouTube live questions. Quality Plumbing, residential and commercial plumbing services, and emergency repair since 1984. Their name says it all. And Happy New Year, brought to you by Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. If you haven't gotten your tickets for the Spurrier's Visors New Year's Bash, make sure you get in and take care of that. And when you're there, drink a 1966 HBC beer at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, or if you can't make it at the O-Dome or select retail outlets, Crisp American Lager, 1966 HBC beer. Mike DiRocco, ESPN, covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. I wanted to bring Mike in because I guess I covered when I was in Jacksonville 5 years. I worked with Mike a little bit, and there are collapses. There are what on earth is going on, and you watch what's happened in the last month, and it's almost like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have sucked the life force out of the Jags, and these two franchises have switched positions as the Bucs look to win their fifth in a row this weekend, and the Jags try to avoid their fifth straight loss. Mike, ever since Trevor Lawrence rolled that ankle up against the Bengals, it's not even a Jekyll and Hyde act. It's a complete 180. What on earth is going on from what you're in the locker room? What's taking place there?
Well, as I was saying to you during the break there, I've never seen a team flip so completely. Like last year, they were 3-7 at one point. They won 5 in a row at the end of the season to go ahead and win the division. And I thought that was a remarkable flip. And this has just been even more remarkable. And it's everything that's going wrong too. I mean, Trevor hasn't played great. but there are some circumstances around that. The offensive line has not been good. I mean, we could spend like 4 hours breaking down how bad this franchise or this team is right now. But the bottom line is they're doing so many things right now that good teams don't do, and they can't win games. They're turning the ball over, pre-snap penalties. They're not getting to the passer on defense. They can't run the ball. It's everything that you need your team to do to be able to win games in the NFL, and they're just not doing it. And it's the same questions and the same responses in that locker room to the head coach week after week after week. And, I'm asking guys like, why is it going to be different this week? You know what I mean? Like, we've asked you this after every week, and you keep saying we got to stop turning it over. We got to stop hurting ourselves. And, they say the same thing, and nothing ever changes. And that's a problem. That's who they are right now. They're a team that can't get out of their own way. That's not good enough to win games at home or on the road, unless they play a perfect game, because they're so limited in what they're able to do. But, look, they've got the Panthers this week. If there's ever a prescription to snap out of this funk, it's this weekend. But I'll be honest, Trevor's got a sprained shoulder. It may be C.J. Beathard playing. It wouldn't surprise me if the Panthers come into Jacksonville where they're 2-6, I think, this year, and win here, and then this team just fades away from 8-3, talking about number 1 overall seed in the AFC to missing the playoffs. It's possible.
It's amazing, Mike, because a month ago the Chiefs were the 1 seed, the Jaguars were the 2, and the debate was whether or not the Jags could eclipse them, because I think the Chiefs had just beaten the Dolphins. So it's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And then lo and behold, it was a Monday night. Trevor gets hurt, and then the wheels come off. It's one thing to get beat. What happened in Tampa on Christmas Eve? It was a snuff film. It was just watching it. You're like, oh my God, they're getting drilled. My old man, who was a coach for 40 years, used to call that a rack, Mike, which is a royal ass kicking, because that's what it was. So You have a team that looks like they could go to the Super Bowl, and here we are. And I know there's injuries, but you test a team, I guess, their mental psyche, because let's face it, this has been that franchise that was, oh my God, are they ever going to get over the hump, ever going to get some consistency? You almost go to the Super Bowl 6 years ago, make the playoffs last year, play well, win a home game, play well in Kansas City, have a couple drop balls that late in the game that could have made things interesting. And then this year, it looks like the ascension. What were they, 6-2 at one point, Mike? It looks like here we're okay, 7. Here we go. I don't want to double barrel the question, but how being in the spotlight and finally having that franchise quarterback, all that pressure, is that what it is? Can you just chalk it up to injuries like the Chiefs? I know it's one thing to be hunting; it's another thing to be the hunted. Not that they're this franchise that everybody gets up for every week, but what on earth is the mindset of a team that now has expectations? How about that?
Well, I think that's part of it. Absolutely. I think, to me, there's 3 main things that have gone through here. I've always thought this for years. Sometimes when a team comes out of nowhere and has success, okay, it's one thing to do that. There's a different mindset to have sustained success, okay? And I think, you've seen teams that have a really good year come out of nowhere, and then they take that step back next year because now they're dealing with a first place schedule. And people may not say, oh, that's overrated. No, it's not. It's really not. And now the teams are coming for you. You have to learn how to handle that. And I thought that this team would be able to do that, and it looks like they have not. Now, the other big thing is this team went into the offseason with major weaknesses and major question marks at 3 or 4 different spots, despite the success they had last year. They did absolutely nothing to address those issues. They didn't go get another pass rusher. Trent Baalke didn't draft a guy to rush the passer until the 5th round, an undersized guy who has been inactive most of the season. They had offensive line issues. We knew. So they drafted the right tackle because Cam Robinson was going to be, the left tackle was going to be suspended for the first 4 weeks, and they were going to move Walker Little over there. So, I mean, they thought they addressed it with adding Calvin Ridley. That hasn't worked as well as we expected it to. They needed some help on the interior of the defensive line. That didn't happen. And then so they get into the season. Nothing seems to be wrong. And then you get some major injuries. And we talk about Trevor Lawrence has been banged up all year, but two significant injuries. Christian Kirk, they were 8-3 in going into that Cincinnati game. Christian Kirk gets hurt on the first offensive snap. Deep throw, he catches it, lands, core muscle injury. That was the beginning of the downfall because he was the most trusted receiver that they had. He's the guy Trevor Lawrence looked to the most. Zay Jones had been playing most of the season with a bad knee. So he was about 80%. So all of a sudden you take away your number one receiver, the other guy on the other side of Calvin Ridley, who was supposed to be able to stretch the defense and keep teams from focusing on Calvin Ridley, now all of a sudden isn't as effective. You don't have to worry about him. Calvin Ridley, all of a sudden, we thought the layoff wouldn't impact him, the way he looked in camp. But I don't think anybody can watch him play now and think, okay, the layoff, the 2 years, it was 23 months between games for him. That did not impact him. He's not the same player that he was. And there's been a ton of miscommunication issues between the quarterback and the receivers. And a lot of that is coming on option routes. Hey, if the defense does this, you're supposed to do X. Okay. So Lawrence sees that. Lawrence sees the defense doing that, and he's expecting the receiver to do X. So he's throwing to X. The receiver's doing Y. Okay. So you get incompletions, you get missed throws, you get interceptions. And it's been throughout the group of receivers. You take away Kirk, who they were always on the same page. Ridley has not been on the same page. Then you have to find the kid that goes in to replace Christian Kirk. It's Parker Washington, a rookie, who doesn't do X when Lawrence is expecting him to do X. And that's the play where Lawrence gets hurt, hurts his ankle, and it's all been downhill ever since then. I mean, the two interceptions against the Bucs, same thing. Parker Washington doesn't do what he's supposed to do, doesn't do what Trevor Lawrence is expecting him to do, and boom, there's the pick. And then on the other one, there was a deeper throw to Evan Ingram. Ingram got his information crossed, so there's another interception. And again, it's not all on one guy. You've got all this going on with, in the first 3 losses of this 4-game losing streak, 13 offensive penalties. 8 of them were pre-snap penalties. You can't win when it's 1st and 15 and your offense doesn't know what the hell it's doing. They can't run the ball. It's all of that together, to be honest with you, that's caused this thing. And they're playing good teams. Let's be honest. They lost to the Bengals, who have surged with Jake Browning and are in the playoff race. They've lost to the Browns on the road. And that was a game where the Browns, I think, were the number 2 defense overall in the NFL. And they're a much tougher team to play at home. At that point, they were only giving up 10 points a game at home. And they got their rear end kicked by the Ravens. Yeah. And then they run into a Bucs team that is surging at the right time. And Baker Mayfield's playing the best football of his career. So that's not an excuse. You got to win those games if you're a team that was supposed to be the best in the AFC. And it's just a mess. And we haven't been in the locker room yet this week. That'll be later today on Wednesday. So I'm really interested to kind of see what's going on in there and what the feeling is, because I hadn't sensed any panic before, but I'm wondering when I walk in there today if I'll be able to sense some panic.
It's interesting that, you bring up a couple things here. Even if the Jaguars or the Chiefs win their divisions, you've got the Browns and the Bills that are likely coming to your place. So it's like one of these things, like, are you a dead man walking? Those two teams are red hot right now, and right. Well, with the Ravens. So you've got that, and I think Baker Mayfield's NFL Comeback Player of the Year. I don't know where your vote is going to go with that when it's all said and done. On a larger scale here, Mike. The University of Florida is dealing with its own stadium enhancement issues, and fans don't want the stadium capacity reduced, although it'll make it a better experience for people, because apparently having, 6 rows of empty bleachers, Mike, is pivotal for outcomes of football games. I always get a kick out of this, Mike, because I've seen this lately. It's like, if you reduce capacity, it takes our home field advantage away. It's like, oh, it's done so well for us the last 3 years, just swimmingly with those non-winning seasons. But Mike, I know there was, the big stadium of the future, all of that push. Mm-hmm. And the reason I bring it up is because when you're trending up and you win the division and it looks like you could be the 2 seed, everybody's all hunky dory. And now wheels on the bus come off. I know Donna Deegan and the Jag Lamping and everybody's working on this. What's the latest that you're hearing? I know we're in the middle of the year, but I know those things still float around.
Yeah, they've had regular meetings, and it hasn't gotten down to the nitty-gritty part of it yet. It's been a little bit more informational and a little bit more examining not the bid, the proposal, and kind of breaking it down a little bit, going here and there. The nitty-gritty really wasn't going to start until after the season anyway. They wanted to kind of have some sort of a framework of an agreement in place in March. So when they went down to the owners' meetings, the Jaguars in March, where they could say, hey, this is kind of where we are. We're in good shape here. And then when the owners meet again in May, they had hoped to have the deal fully in place so that they could go ahead and get approval there. But you're right. Look, it'd be so much easier to get this thing going when you're rolling. And, Donna Deegan from Jacksonville, she's, related to one of the more famous mayors that the city has had, Tommy Hazouri, a well-loved guy. Nobody wants this team to go, okay? And even if they're not playing well right now, I don't think that impacts what happens with the stadium deal. I mean, it's going to be it's $1 billion either way, okay? I mean, whether they're good, whether they're bad, and you don't want to be the person who lost your city an NFL franchise. You just don't. So will the Jaguars get everything they want? No. Will it look like those renderings? Oh, God, no. I mean, no. None around here, the renderings are always fantastic, and it never looks like the renderings. But that's pretty much everywhere. So I think eventually it'll get done. And then, then we go to where do they play for a year? Is it Gainesville? Is it Orlando? Daytona? Because now they want to do the renovations over 2 years, and the Jags play in the stadium one of those years and then away for a year. So all that stuff's got to be ironed out. But I do think it gets done. It just won't be maybe as rubber stamped as everybody hoped it would be when they were rolling.
My old sales manager when I was at iHeart said the best job in Jacksonville is the person that does the artist renderings of the improvements in downtown, because every year it's something new and they get to keep staying employed because it always is constantly changing. Mike DiRocco, ESPN, Seth Harp with you here on this Wednesday, brought to you in part by QC Kinetics. If you got joint pain in your shoulders, knees, hip, or back that won't go away, check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief, no surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, locations in Ocala and now open in Gainesville. 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. And also, brought to you in part today by Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and the surrounding areas. So there you go. Something else that as we look at the NFL postseason, and I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was going to ask you this, sports stories of the year as we wrap up 2023. It's always interesting to look back on what happened and what type of sports year that we had. I'm an optimistic guy, Mike, by nature, but nationwide, it's like, what's the sports story of the year? I'll start off with this nationwide, then we'll do the state of Florida. I was thinking, well, the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. But the problem with NFL being sports stories of the year is you have a whole other season that kicks in by the time you get to look back on what happened in January. Jokic, and the Nuggets, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, UConn won in basketball. I was trying to find nationwide the sports story of the year, Mike. And I mean, the college football playoff, but that's creatures of what we're in right now. Nationally, there were slim pickings. What I came up with was LeBron breaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record nationally as the sports story of the year nationwide. I don't know what you have on your list, but the floor is yours.
I had, and I mean, I don't know if I didn't rank these in 1, 2, or 3, but I had, Shohei Ohtani and that record-breaking deal and $700 million, and nobody's been that guy, ever. And then I had the whole Live PGA Saudi investment fund, DP World Tour, Jay Monahan, we're going to merge. Wait, we're not going to merge. No, we are going to all that mess. And then the other one that I had, which may be a little bit of a cop-out, but the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce NFL marriage, which has just dominated headlines, despite the fact that it's a guy's got a girlfriend story. I mean, that's it. I mean, it happens all the other time. These two are dating, great. But, you get the NFL world and all the attention around that and all the billions around that, and the Taylor Swift world with all the attention and billions around that smashed all together. And, you can't go watch a Kansas City game on TV without at least one or two shots of her per quarter. I mean, I think it's just mandatory. And then you've got all, that all marries together with people who don't even care about football, care about Taylor Swift, and now maybe they care about football, and maybe the other way around. People don't care about Taylor Swift, and now they care about Taylor Swift.
I think it's fascinating how many people just flat out hate her. You know what I mean? They just did like, I'm tired of seeing her. Well, look, I'm a Chiefs fan. Nobody sees her more than me. And I don't, you know what happens when they're losing? I'm like, okay, like Travis Kelce doesn't care anymore. It's like, that dude's playing his ass off. He's one-dimensional. And Mike, you're a football guy. Of course, they can double team him now because Juju Smith-Schuster's not there to stretch the field. Tyreek Hill's not there. Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney are no threat, except he can't throw him the ball because if he throws the ball to either of them, there's just as good a chance it's going to get picked off than it's going to get caught by them. So he's one-dimensional, and everything. Oh, the Chiefs, they went woke. It's because Travis Kelce got the vaccine, and it's like, oh my God, you guys. Or you ready for this? Or they couldn't replace Tyreek Hill and Juju Smith with Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, and they haven't drafted well offensively the last 2 years. It's just sometimes, Mike, you're just not as good as you were the year before, and that's where they are with this. So,
and that's you can kind of parallel that with what the Jags are going through.
Yeah,
with two of his top receivers out. I mean, they get some production from Rashee Rice over there in Kansas City, but not a consistent amount. And that's what the Jags are dealing with too. Sometimes, it is. We always forget about this. It is the players. It's not the coaches, and it's not the scheme, and it's not play calls. It's the players, and they don't have enough good players on offense.
Yeah, and that's why that's why dynasties don't exist anymore, with the exception of what the Patriots did,
which has colored the way everybody views how things should go.
Yeah,
them making the AFC title game, I think it was 9 straight years. Mm-hmm. Now every fan just thinks, okay, that's what it is. That happens. Look, they did it, so we can do it. I mean, and they forget how hard it is to get to a conference title game, to get to a Super Bowl, and to win a Super Bowl.
Hard. PodUp with Matthews in the morning, a service of Campus USA. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. I can't thank Campus USA enough. They made my Christmas a Merry Christmas, Mike, able to get a new car. So, and Campus USA coming through with the car loan when loans are ridiculous and percentage rates are ridiculous. They came in a full point lower than everybody else. So how about that? Campus USA, if you're going to buy a car, do it through Campus USA. Really quick before I let you go, sports story of the year in the state of Florida. I think Florida State getting hosed out of the college football playoff. That's what I have. You can have all 3 teams make the playoffs in the NFL. The Marlins made the playoffs in baseball. It's such statewide, it makes it so much tougher, but that's what I have, at least in my top 2 or 3 there on the podium.
Yeah, FSU getting snubbed, mine too. Lionel Messi signing with Inter Miami, and
that's a good one. That's a good one.
I guess attention around that was awesome, and I think I saw this, and forgive me for not knowing it for sure, but all 3 Florida teams could make the NFL playoffs, and all 3 Florida teams could host a game, first round game. And that may have happened only one other time in NFL history, because obviously the Jaguars have only been around since '95.
Yeah.
So that's now the Jags don't look like they're going to uphold that end of the bargain. They got 2 games left. One's on the road, one's at home. So maybe that doesn't happen. But if that does happen, that would be pretty significant.
I'll leave you with this because people have commented on this. There's rumors that Kirby Smart, and I know better than this, could be the next head coach of the Falcons. Kirby Smart, the NFL. I see Jim Harbaugh going back to the NFL. I know Ryan Day has kind of dipped his toe. I have a tough time seeing Ryan Day translate. Mike, do you see Kirby Smart an NFL locker room? NFL?
No.
I mean, is he an NFL guy?
No, I don't see it. Great coach, great recruiter, great motivator. But I'll say this though, at some point, the NIL stuff is going to chase these guys out of it at some point. Like, I would not want to be an assistant coach at the college level at this point right now, with the recruiting and the portal, and hey, you got to pay guys to stay committed. I mean, it's just awful. And
yeah,
I've talked to several assistant coaches, and I'm like, would you ever go back? And they're like, I will go flip burgers or dig ditches or, work at Walmart. And there's nothing wrong with those jobs. Okay. But that's not going to pay you the $800,000-$900,000 a year you probably get as an assistant at the Power 5 level. They'd rather do that than go back and deal with NIL and all transfer portal and all that other stuff. So I don't see Kirby ever leaving, but at some point it may, for the NFL anyway, at some point it may just become too much. Although he's at the level now where he's the king of the kingdom, like Saban is, and he's got everybody handling that for him. So maybe he can stick around another 10 years, but yeah, I just don't see him in the NFL. Harbaugh, yes, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I could see Sarkisian doing it just because of his offensive mind, but why on earth would you leave Texas, baby? That's oil money.
Right.
Yeah, that's that's one guy that doesn't really have to worry about NIL because he just looks at whoever the CEO is for one of the 4 major oil companies and goes, who's got $100 million today, baby? So there we go. All right, Mike. Really quick before we let you go, Jaguars make the playoffs, yes or no?
Yes, I think they beat the Panthers this week, and they hold on and win the division.
Do they beat the Browns or the Bills if they have to play them in the first round?
No. But, well, let me say it, maybe the Bills, because they have some kind of a thing over the Bills.
They do.
But I don't think they beat the Browns at all. I think Joe Flacco comes in here and wins a road playoff game for the Browns, but maybe the Bills, because they've had some sort of hold over Josh Allen for some reason.
To wrap this thing up, PodUp with Matthews in the morning is brought to you in part by Duffield Home Improvement, your local roofing, siding, and window contractor serving Gainesville and surrounding areas since 1986. And also Ruse-Ogra State Farm Insurance, a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help your life go in the right direction with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ograinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. That's 352-240-1779. Gotta go. We are bailing out of here. No point spread, really, really quick. College football playoff. Who plays for the title?
Yeah. Michigan and Texas.
I like Michigan and Washington. No. I like Michigan. I like Michigan, Washington, and Washington wins the national title. How about that? So
okay. I like it.
Enjoy the Panthers game this weekend. All right.
I'll do what I can.
Don't have too much fun. Zach Rothrock, Freddie Weeby, JC, the entire gang. Hey, have a happy new year. Appreciate it. Take care, Mike. Thank you so much for hopping on with us today. We appreciate it. I'm Seth Harp. Enjoy your Wednesday.